good afternoon to everyone. So I hope you're all doing well. So myself, I am Dr. Ramyasree. I will be discussing obstetrics and gynecology in a quick, short, and crisp manner. Now, how does this one shot help you all? So how does this one shot help you all? So this one shot, which this of obstetrics and gynecology, is mainly based on all those important topics which has been previously asked in PYQs. So you know that most important points which has been repeatedly asked in the exam. So those are the points I'm going to discuss now. So in the coming 6 hours, we are going to finish obstetrics and gynecology completely, which that too all the important points which has been previously asked. So how does that help? So when you go back to your exam, so when you see 80% of the questions are usually something which we expect in obstetrics and gynecology. Okay, so those questions can be easily covered through whatever I'm discussing. So the benefit is when you go back, you will definitely hear my voice. Array, this has come. This I've heard. So that way you will be more confident while you're solving your MCQs and you'll be quick. So it will increase your speed also and it will increase your confidence also. So these are the topics which are like been repeatedly asked. Those I put forward and I've kept. Now, the most important is don't be in a worry that I have to write that, I have to write this. The main thing is that directly imprint in your brain. You're writing in the booklet or not, it's not important. Directly imprint in your brain. So whatever I'm speaking is something which you already know. So we are just revising it. Keep answering whatever possible and directly imprint in your brain. Okay. And after the class is over, I'm going to provide this PDF to all. So I'm looking forward to have a great discussion with all of you. Right? Okay. So let us not do any further delay. Let's start. The only thing which I'm expecting from all of you is put your 100% here. So just try to listen everything what I'm telling and try to grasp everything. So keep your water, keep some snacks, everything ready and sit. I hope you just now had your lunch and came back, right? So all of you are ready? Let's go. Right. So first we're going to start with some images. That is mainly the placenta images and these has been asked as an MCQ many times previously. So the first image what you're seeing, when one cotyledon is separate from the entire placenta, this we call it as subcensurate lobe or accessory lobe. So when one cotyledon is separate from the entire placenta, we call it as subcensurate lobe or accessory lobe. Now see the next picture. In the next picture, if you're observing, it is placenta itself divided into two equal lobes. So when placenta itself is divided into two equal lobes, then you call it as placenta bilobata. Placenta bilobata. If one cotyledon is separate from the entire placenta but not attached with it, then what do you call it as? So then we are going to call it as placenta spuria. Placenta spuria. Right? So in exam, how will you differentiate between the twin pregnancy placenta and placenta bilobata? So in twin pregnancy, definitely you will see two umbilical cords. But in placenta bilobata, you will see only one umbilical cord. Okay? Now, what is the problem associated with this subcensurate or placenta bilobata? So the main problem which any of these can present you is there can be retained placenta, and this retained placenta will lead to PPH, and this will lead to missed lobe, and they can also present you with Vasa previa, except spuria. Spuria can't present you with Vasa previa, but bilobata and subcensurate lobe can present you with Vasa previa. So I hope you have understood these pictures. Let us go to the next one. Next comes the Velamentous. Again, a very important image. Last to last year they have given. Let's pray this year also they give so that you can all score. Right? So here cord is attached to the membranes. Instead of attaching to the placenta, cord is attached to membranes. So in one of your NEET, what they gave was Velamentous. To that again they attached and gave the subcensurate. Velamentous plus subcensurate came as a question. So Velamentous is also called as membranous placenta. Velamentous is also called as membranous placenta. Now, what is something very important about velamentous? So, velamentous is the only placenta which can lead to fetal hemorrhage. So, this will mainly lead to fetal hemorrhage. Right? So, I'm going to remember only the most important point. This is mainly associated with fetal hemorrhage. And yes, this can also lead to Vasa previa. This can also lead to Vasa previa. Now, this is what is Vasa previa. So, what is Vasa previa? Only the fetal vessels with membranes will overlie the cervix. Only the fetal vessels with membranes will overlie the cervix. Right? So, if placenta overlies the cervix, you call it as placenta previa. If fetal vessels overlie the cervix, you will call it as Vasa previa. If cord overlies the cervix, what will you call that as? If cord overlies the cervix, what will you call that as? So that will be called as cord presentation. There is no corda previa. That will be cord presentation. Okay. So Vasa previa is fetal vessels overlying the cervix. Now this can be due to velamentous like in this picture, or it can be due to bilobeta, or it can be due to subcentrate lobe. Right. So this also can present you with painless vaginal bleeding. But whose blood is going? Whose blood will come out? How will you differentiate this from placenta previa? So after the bleed starts, immediately fetal heart rate will drop, and within 10 to 15 minutes baby can die in Vasa previa. So if they give that there is an episode of bleeding which has dropped the fetal heart rate, then think in terms of Vasa previa. Because whose blood is coming out through Vasa previa? It is the fetal blood which is coming out. How will you diagnose this? How will you diagnose this? No, diagnosis is not. Diagnosis is by transvaginal sonography with Doppler. But you should not do PV or perspeculum. But you can take a transvaginal sonography with Doppler to see for these vessels. Right? Excellent, guys. So how will you do this? How will you do? What is the management here? Elective lower segment cesarean section. You want to put incision here itself. You're not going to go for classical. You're going to go for lower segment cesarean section. Now I see many of you have written app test. Yes, earlier days when this was Doppler was not there, we had qualitative test to differentiate feto-maternal hemorrhage. And that qualitative test to differentiate feto-maternal hemorrhage is apt test, which is also called as Singer's alkaline denaturation test. Singer's alkaline denaturation test. Okay. Next. What is the quantitative test? What is a quantitative test to differentiate feto-maternal hemorrhage? What is a quantitative test to differentiate the feto-maternal hemorrhage? Qualitative is apt test or Singer's alkaline denaturation test. What is a quantitative test? It is a Clear-Bethke test. It is a Clear-Bethke test. Or it's also called as acid elution test. Acid elution test. The next important point with respect to the Clear-Bethke test or with Rh-isoimmunization. So the simplest question which I've seen maximum times from Rh-isoimmunization is how much anti-D you should give. How much anti-D you should give. So if there is any feto-maternal hemorrhage, before 12 weeks, how much anti-D you will give? If it is before 12 weeks, 50 micrograms of anti-D. IM. If there is any feto-maternal hemorrhage after 12 weeks, you will give 300 micrograms of anti-D. Again, IM. And routine Rh negative pregnancy mein, if ICT is negative at 28 weeks, you will give again 300 micrograms of anti-D. Routinely also at 28 weeks, you will give 300 micrograms of anti-D. This has been asked as a question. Post-delivery, within 72 hours, if baby blood group is positive,